waiting. Meanwhile, we are about to do the very thing this board said it didn't want to do. Namely, give students a test that we don't know is valid, reliable, or culturally relevant. And what's worse, we're plowing ahead, given everything we already know about the Smarter Balanced Assessment. Although we have no evidence about the Smarter Balanced Assessment, it being valid and reliable or culturally relevant, we do know a few things about this test. We know that it's going to take a minimum of 7 hours to administer, and that is being generous. Teachers that I have talked to say it'll be taking closer to double that amount of time. And that says nothing about the weeks of preparation that our teachers are being asked to put in to get ready for this test in the first place. I hear stories every day about how the Smarter Balanced Assessment is already siphoning resources away from well-rounded curriculum that includes art and music, dance, drama, physical education, and world languages, and how it's cutting into time that we need to do what is best for our students. We need to do what we do best, which is teach students in an individual and culturally relevant manner. Third, we know that the test will tie up computer labs and technology specialists for months. And most important, I think about a personal story where the parents at Abernathy Elementary School who organized a tech trek instead of Run for the Arts. They organized a tech trek because they didn't have enough technology in the school to integrate technology into the classrooms. So they organized this fundraiser, they did all of this hard work, and now the technology will be taken away for a couple months for standardized testing. And this was a valuable resource that was supposed to be available for all students to use and to learn from, but this will not be available. Fourth, and most important, what we do know is factual, is that 60 to 70% of our students will fail this test. We've heard it from the Oregon Department of Ed and even the state superintendent. That if that is not something that will undermine student enthusiasm and create devastating outcomes for schools, then I don't know what is. No teacher, or administrator for that matter, would ever give a test that we knowingly will fail 60 to 70% of our students. It's not education, frankly. For many PAT members, it feels more like abuse. Now, right. I know that might sound a little bit provocative, saying that it would be abuse, but after the 7th or 8th time a teacher says to me, I went back to the materials that we look at every single year as educators were required to take a state-mandated child abuse training, and I looked at some of the documents, and one document describes a form of abuse as mental injury or psychological mistreatment, the result of cruel or unconscionable acts that impair a child's psychological, cognitive, emotional, and or social well-being. These include things like habitual ridicule and scapegoating. So I ask all of you, what do you think the psychological and emotional impact will be when 60 to 70% of our students will be labeled as failures? Especially after all the anxiety and fear that we've seen in running up to these high stakes tests. Can you tell me that there's not going to be any risk of scapegoating if our high poverty schools are labeled failures? What assurances can you make families who don't speak English as their first language that they won't be blamed for poor test scores or being ridiculed for being different in the way the Smarter Balanced Assessment doesn't value? The more I think about it, the more I think our teachers are right and that it is abusive to kids. And I understand more and more why PAT members feel like they are being asked to violate their ethical responsibility as educators when they are forced to administer these tests. Our state training on child abuse is clear about one of our key roles as educators. It is to be the adults in a situation and take steps to end the abuse. I would ask the school board to shoulder that same burden when it comes to the pain and suffering that these assessments can inflict. So next, I think it's important to talk about getting our families, our parents, our students information. Not propaganda, but information. In the first place is to start by providing parents with real information about the Smarter Balanced Assessment and what it means for our kids and what their rights are to make decisions in their child's best interest. There are staff people from the district who are going around to different schools to talk about the Smarter Balanced Assessment with parents. I was recently at a meeting with one of them at my daughter's school, and I can tell you firsthand the information the district is providing to parents is all about compliance. So I'm not saying that it is advocating necessarily for, but it is definitely about compliance. But what they aren't saying is that no one is telling the parents that the kids are going to be spending weeks prepping for a test that 60 to 70% of them are going to fail. Nobody is telling them that the test has not been proven to be valid. Nobody is talking to parents about the millions of dollars that are going to be directed towards administering and grading this test, money that could have and should have gone directly into classroom instruction. Yep. And in your resolution, you stated in July, you called on district administrators to expand their effort to inform and engage parents in the community. I know in PBS we talk a lot about authentic family engagement, but I ask you, how can our engagement truly be authentic when we're not telling our ESL families, our parents in high poverty schools, the truth about what these tests really mean for their kids? In fact, I think that the district is too busy talking about compliance to give parents the cold hard facts about the Smarter Balanced Assessment. And that's probably why my phone as of late has been ringing off the hook from parents from different schools all over this district. Parents at about a half dozen most recently have contacted me about the assessment, and they want to know what their rights are and what it means for kids. So in closing, I'm going to basically ask three things of the board tonight. First, to really think about why the district is spending all the time and money on telling parents about the compliance and maybe how good the Smarter Balanced Assessment is, and why we have to do it. That we should be looking at how do we honestly educate our parents about what it is and what it's not. Especially when it hasn't been proven to be valid, reliable, or free from cultural, linguistic, or socioeconomic bias. I don't come to you and say, I'm here to say that parents should opt out of testing. What I'm here to tell you is that we need to give parents all the facts, and so we can let them make informed choices about what is in the best interest of their kids. And I know for myself, my choice is clear. I'm a 20-year veteran teacher in Portland Public Schools and a parent of 2 kids in the district, and like many other educators in Portland, my husband and I are opting both of our children out of the Smarter Balanced Assessment. But once again, my goal isn't to tell other people what to do. They need to figure out what to do once they know all of the facts. People have rights. Finally, like you did last summer, I'm asking you to stand with us and not against us on this issue. We all know that there is a better way to assess kids. And later on in this meeting, I look forward to talking to you more about some of the things that we learned from our recent trip to New York and different assessment methods, as well as our assessment committee within the district. So listen to our educators, give them the support they need. They're the ones who've been in the room with students when they fail, and they'll tell you firsthand that these tests are unlike anything they have ever seen. The amount of frustration and anxiety in store for our kids this spring will be staggering, knowing that 60 to 70% of them will fail. But it doesn't have to be this way. Help us make sure that we can put the brakes on the Smarter Balanced Assessment this school year. You know it's the best thing for our kids, and after all. It's about doing what's best for them. That's our job. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our first two, Aaron Smurl and Micah Lee. So I'll do you quickly the instructions. Thank you so much for coming tonight to attend the meeting and provide